Welcome, all you future CAs and finance whizzes. Today, we are diving into a classic problem from the CA Intermediate exam. But you know what? Let's not call it a problem. Let's call it a puzzle. We've got a bunch of clues about a company, A Limited, and our mission is to put them all together to reveal the entire financial picture. Sound good? Let's get started.
So here it is, the big question at the heart of this puzzle. How in the world are we supposed to build a complete income statement when we don't even have the starting number, sales? I know it sounds kind of impossible, right? But trust me, it's not. It's all about finding the one right key to unlock that first door.
All right, take a look at our puzzle box. Over on the left, you see all the clues we've been handed. A few ratios, an interest amount, a tax rate, the usual suspects. And on the right, that's the treasure we're hunting for, the full income statement, the earnings per share, and even a little crystal ball gazing into what happens if sales go up. Right now, that gap between what we have and what we need looks massive. But don't worry, we've got a map. And here's that map, our game plan for today. We'll start by making sure we understand our tools. Then we'll get to the most important part, the keystone calculation, to find our master key. After that, everything else just falls into place. We'll build the full picture, see leverage in action, and finish up with a winning strategy you can take with you on exam day. Okay, section 2. You can't solve a puzzle without the right tools, right? In finance, our tools are our formulas. So let's do a quick refresher on the two main keys we're going to need for this one. First up is operating leverage. The best way to think about this is like a magnifying glass for your company's operations. It shows you how a tiny change in your sales gets amplified into a much bigger change in your operating profit. And what's doing the amplifying? It's all those fixed operating costs, things like rent and salaries that stay the same no matter how much you sell. And here's the formula itself, nice and clean. Operating leverage equals your contribution divided by your EBIT, or earnings before interest and taxes. And just as a quick reminder, contribution is just your sales minus all your variable costs. This ratio, this is key number 1. Our second key is financial leverage. Now, if operating leverage was all about your business operations, this one is all about how you finance the business. It measures just how sensitive your earnings per share are to any changes in your operating income. And the amplifier this time? Well, it's your fixed financing costs. And the biggest one is usually the interest you pay on debt. And the formula for this one is just as simple. Financial leverage is EBIT divided by EBT, or earnings before tax. See the connection here? Operating leverage gets us down to EBIT, and then financial leverage takes us from EBIT down to EBT. It's like they form a perfect chain, one leading right to the next. All right, now for the main event. This is the most important step of the whole process. We're about to use our tools to forge a master key, that one single number that's going to unlock this entire puzzle for us. So here's the strategy. We're going to play around with those formulas we just looked at. We know operating leverage is 2, and financial leverage is 1.5. So we can just rearrange the formulas a bit to link everything together. This lets us build one single, powerful equation where the only unknown variable left is contribution. And this is what it looks like. Isn't that neat? By plugging everything we know into the simple fact that EBT equals EBIT minus interest, we get this equation right here. We've managed to connect our two leverage ratios and that known interest figure of 12,000 rupees. Now all that's left to do is a little bit of simple algebra to solve for contribution. And when we solve that equation, boom, 72,000 rupees. This is it. This is our master key. This is contribution. Now that we have this number, the whole puzzle is basically solved. The rest of the pieces are just going to snap right into place.
Seriously, the hard work is over. With our master key of 72,000 rupees in hand, putting together the income statement is going to be a breeze. Let's watch how all the pieces come together now.
Just watch how fast this goes. We know operating leverage was 2, right? So EBIT is just contribution divided by 2, which is 36,000. Easy. Now subtract the interest we were given, 12,000, and you get an EBT of 24,000. Apply the 30% tax rate to that, which is 7,200. And that leaves us with our final earnings after tax, our net profit of 16,800 rupees. See? It's like a waterfall.
And now we can finally go back and answer that big question from the very beginning. Where are the sales? Well, we use another clue we were given, the PV ratio of 24%. Sales is simply our contribution, that's 72,000, divided by that PV ratio. And that gives us our top line number, 300,000 rupees. And there you have it.
the treasure at the end of our hunt. The complete, finished income statement for A Limited. Just look at how beautifully it all flows, starting from sales of $300,000, flowing through our keystone contribution of $72,000, and landing perfectly on a net profit of $16,800. Every single number makes perfect sense.
So with the income statement done, the second part of our task is super simple. To get the earnings per share, or EPS, we just take our earnings after tax, that's $16,800, and divide it by the 1,000 shares we were told about. And that gives us an EPS of 16.80 rupees per share. Check that off the list.
But wait, we're not done just yet. The final part of the question is actually my favorite part, because it's where these numbers and concepts really come to life. It asks us to predict what happens if sales increase by 5%. This is where we're going to see the true power of leverage.
Now, we could rebuild the entire income statement all over again, but we don't have to. There's an amazing shortcut called combined leverage. It's literally just operating leverage times financial leverage. So for us, that's 2 times 1.5, which gives us a combined leverage of 3. You multiply that by the 5% change in sales, and you find out that the EPS will increase by a whopping 15%.
And this just perfectly illustrates that magnifying effect we talked about. A small 5% bump in sales doesn't just give shareholders a 5% bump in earnings. No way. Because of all the fixed costs in the business, both operational and financial, that little increase in sales gets amplified 3 times over. The result? A huge 15% jump in EPS, from 1680 all the way to 1932. This right here is why every financial manager is obsessed with understanding leverage.
So we did it! We solved the puzzle! Now let's just boil everything we did down into a clear, repeatable strategy that you can take with you into any exam.
Here it is, your 4-step winning strategy. 1. Identify your tools. Know those leverage formulas like the back of your hand. 2. Find the keystone. Use those formulas to solve for that one central number. 3. Build step by step. Let the income statement fill itself in from that keystone. And 4. Test the impact. Remember that combined leverage shortcut to quickly predict changes. That's it.
And that brings us to the end. We've solved the problem, sure, but the real takeaway is understanding what it all means. You see, leverage is a double-edged sword. That amazing 15% gain we saw could have just as easily been a 15% loss if sales had dropped by 5%. So I'll leave you with this to think about. As a future manager or advisor, how do you find that perfect balance between risk and reward when it comes to fixed costs and debt? That, my friends, is the true art of financial management.